And that's that. Semifinal number 2 complete. And it will be my pre tournament favorites, New Zealand, who will take on India in the finals of the ICC Champions Trophy. What an exciting encounter. What an exciting match. What a star. Ravindra, the ever reliable Kane Williamson. Malik, what's going on, man?
Hey, your prediction has come true. New Zealand is in the finals. What a comprehensive victory again. We thought these games were going to be close. Instead, this was another walk in the park for New Zealand. Obviously, they played very well. Hats off to Ravindra, who now has 5 centuries in ICC events. And guess what? He's only played 2 events. He played the 2023 World Cup and he's played this one. And he didn't even play at the first game. So, hey, listen, unbelievable what this kid is doing. He had a great day today. That century basically took the game away from South Africa pretty much. And then,
Absolutely
you
agree.
know, I
So,
think, whatever New Zealand does, they're touching it into gold. Now, the question is, can they go to Dubai and they can beat India? That's going to be the big question.
all right, let's see. So the day started with New Zealand winning the toss and deciding to bat. New Zealand scored 362 for 6. Ravindra, brilliant, 108. Williamson, 102. Daryl Mitchell, 49. Daryl Mitchell, who we spoke about yesterday, and we spoke about the importance of a big player like Daryl Mitchell playing in this game. Phillips finished off with 49. And Ngidi, 3 for 72. Rabada, 2 for 70. South Africa could manage 312 for 9, with Miller getting 100. At the end there, Van der Dussen getting 69, Bavuma getting 56. Kane Williams Samir was dropped on 56. A very pivotal sort of point in the game, in the match today. And that turned out to be very, 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 very bad miss there by the South African team.
So we basically had 2 misses. The Ravindra was dropped. It was a potential catch and a stumping that Klassen missed, and then Klassen missed a difficult catch, but it should be taken. And that's what happened to South Africa there. That basically, these 2 guys, what a great partnership. They basically put on roughly 164 runs in literally 26 overs. And that is what took the game away. And then at the end, Daryl Mitchell, 49 of 37 balls. Glenn Phillips, once again, what a guy. This guy is the new Maxwell. 49 of 27, batting at almost 200 strike rate at this point, right? And then I think, once again, winning the toss was very important, right? They won the toss, they put the score up, and it's a semi-final. It's a big match, pressure situation. And I think South Africa really tried to chase this down. And obviously, at the end, you see Miller's 100, but that didn't really count because once the pressure was off, Miller was just striking the ball, right? That's what he was doing. But the real pressure, I think, was created in the beginning when Bavuma was trying to chase this down, and Bavuma had a very, very slow start.
Absolutely. Now, again, as we discussed, Kane Williamson, the ever reliable Kane Williamson, brilliant innings there, absolutely fantastic stuff. And there was one point, Samir, in the innings when, in the 33rd over, 34th over, when Ravindra was dismissed, where Simon Dole essentially said, "It is time now for New Zealand to really start going hard." I did at the time think, you know what? It's a mistake. New Zealand really had to sort of keep scoring at 6 and 7 and over, keep sort of putting, runs on the board and get deeper into the innings. But Dool essentially, you know, I think Darrell Mitchell ignored, what Simon Dool was saying, ignored his instructions, and they sort of continued and build, and he was able to finish with a flurry with Phillips coming in there and really applying the final touches and getting New Zealand to a big score that was beyond South Africa.
So basically, once again, let's not criticize Simon Dewell for what he's saying, because what he's saying is basically, listen, 251 for 3 in 40 overs should be 360, 370. That's what he was saying. And that's where they got. They got to 362, but it didn't happen because of Daryl Mitchell. It happened because of Glenn Phillips. Remember, that 49 of 27 is what gets you there, right? So I think the issue on hand here was, can New Zealand put up a total which South Africa can't chase? And at one point, it looked like South Africa was going to chase this down, when especially Dussen and Markham were going at it, right? But at the end of the day, remember, there's a scoreboard pressure. And remember, New Zealand has very, very, very solid bowling attack. That's the key. Remember, once again, I'm not saying it's a great bowling attack, but they're very solid in the fact that they do not miss their lines. They ball to a certain length. Once again, we're going to talk about, captain of the New Zealand side, Santner, who basically, had an amazing spell today. And he basically changed the game. He got some big wickets. He got Dussen out. He got Klassen out. Once again, remember, these are two big, big, big batsmen in the South Africa lineup.
Yes, as you mentioned there, South Africa, we're going well. Good partnership there between Van der Dussen and the partnership there was broken by Mitchell Santner, who many think he's underrated. He got 3 wickets in quick succession. He got who did Santner get out again? The 3 wickets.
He got
Bavuma?
Bavuma, he got Dussen, and he got Klassen in three in a row. That's what he
Was
got.
that the turning point in the game?
I think the Klassen, the wicket is absolutely the turning point in the game. Once Klassen was gone, even though they still had Miller in the back, you knew they just didn't have enough after that, right? Remember, look, after David Miller, if you look at the tail, which is basically Mulder, Jansen, Maraj, Rabada, Ngidi, none of them can really score those runs at that high pace that is required, right? So basically, Miller alone couldn't win this game for them, and they knew that. So at that point, basically Santner, even brought in Ravindra, Bracewell, once again, what an amazing spell, even though he gave up 53 runs. Let me tell you what Bracewell did. 26 dots in his spell. Santner, 32 dots in his spell. Once again, remember, these are spinners who are bowling on a pitch which is scoring a lot of runs. And these guys are bowling almost 58 dot balls between the two of them in 20 overs. That's what put the pressure. Remember, South Africa lost the game by what? 50 runs. They had 58 dots between these two bowlers. And I think that's what cost them the game.
Yeah, absolutely amazing spell there
But
from
not only, remember, Santner from one end and Bracewell from the other. Bracewell continued to basically, even though he wasn't that successful from a wicket standpoint, he continued to put the pressure on South Africa.
Absolutely. But again, brilliant stuff there from Santner. Former New Zealand coach Mike Hessen said Santner, he believes, is underrated. Fans essentially, when they discuss, who are the best spinners in the world, no one really talks about Santner. Everyone talks about the Mr. Spinners. Everyone talks about the Asian spinners. People even talk about Zampa and these guys. Obviously, Santner is not flashing, much like a lot of the guys in the New Zealand team, guys like Tom Latham. These guys are good players, but Santner, he's not flashy. He's quiet. He goes about his business. Looks a little bit awkward some here, but in your opinion, is he overrated?
No, 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 absolutely not. I think he's very
Underrated, sorry,
underrated,
underrated.
very underrated, very underrated. So here is what I think is the reason why. Remember, New Zealand as a squad, they have a certain amount of responsibility to their own culture, and their culture is such that they're not flashy people. They're not like the Australians, right? They're not gonna go sledge somebody. They're not gonna be fighting to win. They're just gonna
That's true.
win, and you saw that. You saw that today after they won the game. There's no celebrations. There's no excess. Great job, good day at the office, and move forward. And that's what this guy does. And there's a reason why he's captain, right? So, hey, listen, remember, you got Kane Williamson, one of their greats, right, who scores 100 today. And I'm pretty sure Kane Williamson has a lot of input in what they do, right? But Santner is a man on his own right now. He's the captain of this New Zealand side, and he's leading them from the front against the best batsman he was willing to bring himself on. I think that's what showed you the strength of this New Zealand side, that the captain himself is bringing him on against the best batsman.
All of
Rachin
Ravindra's,
Ravindra.
yeah, 500s have been in ICC tournament. What does that say about this young man?
Listen, I'm telling you right now, once again, another underrated batsman, right? That's what we talk about. Even with Kane Williamson, even though Kane Williamson is known and he's part of that Fab Four or Fab Five, people don't give Kane Williamson the credit, right? The same way I'm telling you, this kid is probably the next star for New Zealand. In 32 ODIs, he has 5 centuries already. That just tells you everything, right? So he basically scores the bulk of his runs in big games against big opponents. That's the key.
Unlike some of the other Kiwi batsmen that we just mentioned, I don't agree that Ravindra is overrated. I think he's rated pretty highly. He's of Indian descent, obviously. He has an IPL contract. He's certainly one of the players who's talked about. Guys like Tom Latham, no one talks about him. But I definitely do not believe that Rachin Ravindra is one of those guys who is underrated for
Hey,
sure.
listen. The reason is he's just early in his career. I'm telling you right now, this guy is a star. He's not discussed like Shabnam Gill is discussed. Even though I think he has a better record than Shabnam Gill at this point. But you know
Mhm.
what? Shabnam Gill's up there too. He has a great record for a reason, right? He scores runs. So I love the way he batted today. I watched this full game today. I was up at 4. I watched every ball of Rachin Ravindra's innings, right? What he did, and obviously, listen, batting with Kane Williamson, it just makes batting easier, right? That's what it is. But look, once again, who did they drop to play Rachin Ravindra as opener? Conway. Devon Conway is a great batsman. And once again, remember our discussion was that yesterday, who they're gonna drop and they're gonna put. Once again, whatever New Zealand did worked out for them, right? That's the key. And I think New Zealand is gonna take the same squad into the finals, and I think potentially the finals is going to be a very very good contest now.
Yeah, certainly. For the Kiwi team, they definitely made the right decision. I would have gone with experience. Obviously, I said Williamson had to play, Mitchell had to play, Conway for me had to play. The guy I would have left out would have been Will Young, who obviously did not necessarily get any runs today, but having won this semifinal and won so comfortably, I'm pretty sure that New Zealand will go into the final with an unchanged team, Samir.
I agree. Hey, listen, once again, I think the only question now is going to be what sort of a pitch we get for this finals, right? That's the key. India would probably go with 4 spinners. These guys are going to go in with 4 spinners. My feeling is that I think we're going to get an excellent game.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, New Zealand win their semifinal and advance to the final where they will play India in Dubai. Now, Samir, obviously conditions are different in Dubai. They won't face the same batting conditions that they're facing today in Lahore, where conditions were just brilliant for batting. Now, New Zealand, obviously, though, we did say before that they're used to these conditions and they do have the necessary tools to perform in these conditions that will take a little bit more spin.
Hey, listen. So the pitch is going to be key, right? If the same pitch is played or a similar pitch is played, that's going to be the Australia versus India game in the semi-final. Then I think there's a lot of runs to be scored. Remember, we spoke about it yesterday that Australia scored less runs in that game. The
Mhm.
par score probably was higher in that game, right? Especially considering how easily India chased. So my feeling is that I think depending on the pitch, I think whoever wins the toss will once again look to bat first, right? Put up the
Mhm.
runs. It's a pressure game again, and if New Zealand or India put up 300 plus, it's going to be very very hard to chase.
Well, that should be a mouth-watering contest. Obviously, we've seen New Zealand versus India. India had the upper hand. They came out on top in sort of that dead rubber game. But the
No, no.
finals
I think they
will
won
be
the
different.
game. India won the game, but New Zealand was on top. New Zealand gave up that game. Remember, with 100 runs left, they had 8 wickets in hand with 20 plus overs to win it, and they basically crumbled from there. Now, obviously, it's worked out for both teams, right? Remember, we said that this was a group which was much easier compared to the group of death. The teams in the group of death are all gone now. So
Mhm.
it's India and New Zealand which have had this pathway to get to the finals. Remember, it's not an easy pathway to the finals for these guys. Remember, they've played some very, very good teams along the way.
No, absolutely. Now, the finals of Champions Trophy comes up on Sunday, March 9th at 5 a.m. Samir and I will be back tomorrow for a more in-depth preview of this match between New Zealand and India. Samir, any final words?
Hey, listen, great performance by the Kiwis. I thought going into the game this morning that South Africa would have the upper hand, but Rachin Ravindra and Kane Williamson took the game away from South Africa. And basically, hey, listen, what I see now is New Zealand very confident going into playing India on Sunday. Remember, it's very difficult for a team of this stature to be beaten twice. India will have to do an excellent job to overcome New Zealand a second time within a week, right? So my feeling is I think New Zealand has the upper hand, but again, once again, with the slightest advantage, in my opinion, going into this game now.
Yes, I agree. Certainly, New Zealand should be extremely confident going into this game. Again, my pre-tournament favorites, New Zealand. They've covered all the bases. They have all the boxes ticked. With Rachin Ravindra, that is a superstar. Within Kane Williamson, he's dependable. They have the bowling, they have the spin, they have the brains, and importantly, I believe that India are under slightly more pressure, Samir, as they're expected to win. They have the a billion people behind them in India who expect them to win. I think there's more pressure on India, and I'm gonna back New Zealand to take this one home.
I agree. I agree. Hey, listen, India has more pressure because remember, they're expected to win, right? They haven't
Mhm.
lost a game yet. I think New Zealand losing that game to India actually looks, I think it helped them in this game. They scored 362, man. That's a lot of runs. And if they end up winning the toss, which remember India hasn't won a toss in 14 tosses, right? So if they end up winning the toss and they elect to bat and they score 300 or more against this bowling lineup, it's going to be very difficult to chase no matter who you are. And if anybody could chase it, it's India, right? That's what it is because India is the undefeated team. They're in very good form too. But I think it's going to be a mouth-watering contest. I'm pretty sure whoever wins the toss on Sunday is looking to bat.
My final prediction: India is gonna win their first toss in 15 tries, but New Zealand will take Champions Trophy.
Great prediction, man.
See you soon.
Take care.